The first thing I wanted to talk about was the in Jamaica, they're having a spike in coronavirus cases, and I emphasize Jamaica, but really this is kind of going on around the world, right? In Jamaica specifically, let me say what the numbers are. So on August 1st, throughout the course of this pandemic, there had been a total of 10 deaths and 883 cases altogether. That's on August 1st. So about 6 weeks later, they have 57 deaths and almost 5,000 cases. So that's concerning. First of all, why do y'all think that is the case? What do you think is the reason? I know none of us are scientists on here. Is the reason behind this big jump? That's a pretty significant jump. Think of it, from February to August, there were 10 deaths and 800 cases, and for it to jump that significantly, what do you think is behind it? Do you think people just tired of living the lockdown life, or what?
Basically,
Especially,
I think
pick on. Oh, go on.
definitely,
Ladies first.
definitely. I mean, it makes sense that people just became more relaxed, and felt like, hey, if this is going to be my life, then I'm gonna live it. So I definitely think people are just tired of being inside the house, and whatever happens.
Yeah, I think that's a perfectly logical reason, and we can kind of observe that just around here, right? I mean, I get it. At some point, you kind of have to live your life, but it's not any less deadly now, and it was dead. So if you look, watch the news, they're talking like all throughout Europe and Asia, things are climbing back up. Because people, tired of living a quarantine life. Tech special, what do you say about that?
Well, part of the reason I think is we don't know enough about the virus itself. I've read recently that the virus is actually mutating. So
heard that tonight. Yeah,
that could be a big part of it. And I think the main part is that people just want to live their life. Now, it's not to say that they don't care about the issue in hand, but I've seen plenty of videos and posts, of people going to events. When they get to the event, they have on their mask, but as soon as they get in and get comfortable and things like that, there's no mask. Yeah, it's not going on. And they have the best of intent, and I know it, but you get lax. You have a few drinks, or you're out with your friends and you're laughing and talking. It's uncomfortable. You throw it off. Yeah. And then it spreads like that. But people. I think. What I've seen a lot of people say is, people's rights matter and things like that. But we have to think of it as, what? I'm looking out. I'm looking out for yourself. I'm looking out for you and myself by wearing this mask, period. Yeah. So we have to keep that mentality and keep it going. But again, new things are going on that we don't know about. We don't know enough about it. We know that it's airborne, but what else? What are they not telling us? Because as we know, they didn't tell us about it when they found out about it. So
and you mentioned something right now, which I heard of our doctor on TV tonight saying that a study recently came out here in Houston that said that the virus it's mutating, it's changing. It's like, so so you could be developing a vaccine for what it is today, but come tomorrow it might be something completely new and it has no use. So so let me ask this question. Especially, I'll ask you, how do you think this thing ends? What, there have been these big pandemics in the past. What do you think? When will this? Not when will it end, but how will it end? Is it the vaccine? Is it will just go away? How do you think it will end?
Well,
Dr. Special.
With most pandemics or diseases, usually the infected die out. If you can use what they call herd immunity.
No, Trump says herd mentality.
but all right, in the past when they had a pandemic like this, what happened is people would stay home, who was infected at home, died at home, and the virus would die with them. In modern days, of course, now people they don't believe so much in that there is a pandemic, so they don't take the precautions. They don't really, some people are out and they really don't care if they get sick, right? Yeah. And that is the problem. They not just don't care about themselves, they don't care about others. So how we see it's going to cost a lot of lives before this goes away, right? But it will eventually go away, because they all do. Even if there's mass casualties, they all go away.
Yeah, you know what? That's a really scary thought, right? This thing of herd immunity or herd mentality, as dumbass calls it. I'm watching a show last week, and they're saying basically, without outright saying that's what we're doing, that's what they're doing. They have all these things where the CDC put out these recommendations, and then they change it and what have you. It's like they're trying to get more people out there getting sick, and that's not just opinion. It's a bunch of things that they're actually doing. It kind of leads to that's what they want to happen. That's how they think this thing is going to go away. And they did the numbers. So like if you look at the infection rate, basically take the number of positive tests divided by, the number of the total population, and then use that percentage, and then take the death rates, the amount of deaths divided by the number of infected, and come up with a percentage. And according to those percentages, with a population of 330 million people, we're talking like about 3 million people will die. If that's what they go with.
The math is right.
If we let this fool come back in office again, and that's what they go with, we're talking about 3 million people dead from this thing. So that's I don't know how this thing ends, but that's a very scary proposition. As we sit here right now, it's 200,000 dead, more than 200,000.
So we have some comments from Facebook. So let me read some of them. Leslie says, "Wasn't the borders reopened for tourists?" I mean, that could be a reason.
Jamaica, yeah. But so here's the thing: our country, like Jamaica, for Jamaica to close its borders it's not practical, right? I mean, because besides tourism itself, there's so many industries, based off tourism, right? Yeah. So it contributes a lot to the economy. So, it's at the Jamaican, from you listen to the Prime Minister talk and what have you, he said we have to figure out how to live with this. We can't shut everything down. We have to figure out how to, masks and social distancing and whatever, but we can't just close things off, right? I mean, and that's as we said from the beginning of this thing, it's a very tough position to be in for somebody who is running a country, running a government, because people have to survive. Like here in Houston, they have this thing about restaurants versus bars. Like if you're a restaurant, you can open up at a certain capacity, but if you're a bar that don't serve food, you have to shut down completely. And that's been going up. So think if you own a bar in Houston that don't serve food, you don't have a kitchen, you are a bar. I mean, you've been shut down like for months now.
Yeah.
How many of those bars aren't coming back? So, but again, it's difficult. I'll say that. But any other comments from the Facebook people or any of you people?
Enough. Buxton says foreigners coming in and not adhering to protocols. That could be part of the rules.
Bucky, y'all blame the foreigner them?
The government has been doing the best they can in terms of monitoring them and getting constant updates. And you can get in trouble if you don't give an update, which is very good on our part I actually never expected us to reach that level of efficiency in doing anything that have to do with tourists. Because in the past, we've just been very bad at it. But, you know, they've been doing their best to keep up with people coming in, where they're staying, and their corona status. So, you know, I mean, I think it's helping, and it could have been a lot worse if they didn't step up their game.
Yep. What were you saying, Tex? Yeah, another one there.
Yeah, we got a couple. Danielle says herd immunity from vaccines and acquired immunity from either catching it or passing it on from the mother. Leslie says we'll take an act of God due to widespread carelessness, but eventually it will happen. Some people will wake up.
An act of God. You say we can't wait upon God? I say so.
Wait upon God to come save.
Hey, you see that lightning? You see that lightning? Watch.
No, you never said.
Everybody pray for special. Lightning. Boom. Lightning game one boop in the head.
Wait on him. We can't wait on him. We have to do something for ourselves, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, man.
You know, there are more and more dance I keep right now, and that could be one of the greater reasons why we see so many cases. You know.
So y'all blame the sound man then?
Them too. because me here so damn sweet. So,
oh gosh.
Keep it going, goddamn.
So without blaming the sound man them special, I think it's just as Des said from the very beginning, people they're tired of being in the house. They're tired of just sit up looking at the wife and husband all day long and can't go to the road, and then people start moving around, start doing a little bit more, and start taking a little risk here and there, and think before you know it, things skyrocket. Anyway, everybody, take your precautions. This thing is serious. 202,000 people here in this country dead. 200,000 families. Who can't even have a proper funeral? Anyway, so it's, this thing is, the powers that be trying to act like nothing going on because they think it's good for their interests. But wise up yourself, and you know that this thing is real, and it's killing people. So take your proper precautions.